Oh, what's going on YouTube? I am dukedobbins, FTW, and speaking as someone who literally built an entire channel around the dumpster fire that was the first Destiny, today I wanted to break down the 5 major hazards that both Bungie and Destiny fans should be on the lookout for in the next major installment of this franchise, so that Bungie can avoid shitting the bed a second time, and so that average players can avoid getting overexcited for or roped into a game that may turn out to be just another wet fart. Number 1. Is it a children's game? Because the first Destiny game kinda was. A big problem I think many gamers 18 and above are facing is that we've grown up, but the games we love haven't necessarily grown up with us. The fact of the matter is there are a fuck ton of 8 to 13 year olds who aren't gonna always appreciate the same kind of content as those of us who have graduated high school, and there will be major titles designed for that much younger demographic. Games that don't incorporate stories or gameplay mechanics that are too complex. Very PG games that purposely avoid controversial topics or adult themes. Games that avoid graphic violence and adhere to a certain level of content sanitization and political correctness. That ensures they don't step on any parent's toes, but also that they don't have much of an impact on people my age. The first Destiny was this kind of game. It's something that would have aired on Cartoon Network at a point in my life when I only cared about the shit on Toonami. There are movies like Transformers and Power Rangers, and there are movies like Alien Covenant and The Matrix. You know, cue all the comments about, well, I'm 30 years old and I still love Power Rangers, and like, alright, more power to you, but man, I fucking don't. I'm at a point in my life where I really appreciate more complex and adult themes, and let's face it, Destiny so far has kept it very simple. Guardians are good, the darkness is bad, the gameplay never demanded too much from you, it was very basic FPS stuff, mostly boiled down to shooting, taking cover, popping out to shoot again, and repeating that until you would grind down the enemy's health. And I've just found that the simplicity and genericism of a game like Destiny has a hard time keeping my attention these days. And so this next Destiny might be a kid's game, and that's okay. Kids need games too, I dig it. As adults, many of us need to come to terms with the fact that not every major title is meant for us, just like it is with the movies. And then again, maybe it won't be, but pay attention to the details in their marketing. Don't go into it thinking it's going to be something that'll blow your mind if it's clear from the start that they are trying to keep it simple for younger demographics, okay? Number 2, an overly corporatized culture. As I've talked about before, a game's fans develop a bond with the game's creators, much like music fans often adore the artists behind their favorite songs. But that relationship is abused when you are shameless about screwing the customer. When fans become aware of how hard you're trying to nickel and dime them with microtransactions and deluxe this and super collectors that and buy this fucking Mountain Dew or you're not a true fan, it can adversely impact a player's enjoyment with the game. You know, that Luke Smith controversy back in the day is the perfect example of this. It's hard to enjoy a game when it feels like the game's creators don't respect you, and may even respect you less for playing the game. The same way a serial con man respects his marks less for getting played. It makes just playing Destiny feel like you're getting cucked. Number 3, excessive hype and rampant fanboyism. I think games suffer when their fans start treating the shit like it's a fucking political party or something. Nobody needs to defend billion-dollar corporations from haters online. They should be able to take care of themselves. When it comes to Destiny, I have never seen a larger group of whiny little bitches debase themselves so thoroughly for such a shitty game. When you have such a large vocal gang of cucklords needlessly defending Destiny against every complaint, creating echo chambers on the Destiny forums and subreddit that downvote to oblivion any posts critical of the game, and attacking any Destiny detractors to the point they are wholly discouraged from even voicing their frustrations at all, it disrupts proper community feedback and insulates developers from necessary constructive criticism, which is an incredibly important part of a game's development post-release. And unsurprisingly, Destiny 1's post-release evolution was terrible. They had to redo the progression system multiple times. They were constantly pissing people off by retroactively invalidating their previous hard work and progress, and it wasn't until over a year later that they finally kind of got their shit together. People need to be careful about getting overhyped for this game before it comes out, because a big part of what I think goes wrong is that people get on the hype train full steam ahead, they're all giddy in their pants for the shit, and then it comes out and it sucks. And people are hesitant to admit it because it would be embarrassing for them, right? It would be admitting that you got played, which is what I think happened with Destiny 1. There were multitudes of people, including myself, who were on that hype train and were excessively hyped for like 2 years, and then it comes out and shits the bed, and it's like, well, this is awkward, I look like an idiot. I think people were hesitant to admit the truth because it would be damaging to our own egos. I think people probably almost on a subconscious level felt the need to defend Destiny and try and obscure what generic trash it was because they had to defend their own egos, to themselves and maybe others. I believe a similar phenomenon is taking place in politics these days. Number 4, behind the scenes turmoil. As the saying goes, it's not a good idea to switch horses midstream. Well, Bungie did, and they are a textbook example of the consequences of not taking your fucking Abraham Lincoln quote seriously. We know that about a year out from launch, they made dramatic changes to the fundamental direction of this game, and the result was that we got an obviously unfinished, patched together, awkward ass game at launch. And not only that, but a few very important high profile departures really stemmed from this initial shit show. Head writer Joseph Staten basically quit in protest. Martin O'Donnell protested so fiercely behind the scenes they found a bullshit excuse to fire him, and and then lost in court when they were called out on wrongful termination. And a year after launch, the CEO of Bungie, Harold Ryan, resigned. I'll tell you this much, you don't start a 10-year project expecting your project lead to depart after just a year. This was presumably because the higher-ups had lost confidence in him, and why wouldn't they? But this kind of rapid turnover in such key positions will cause confusion and inefficiency in any organization, but especially something as meticulous and detail-oriented as game design. And unsurprisingly, the first Destiny took its sweet time addressing players' grievances. The first 2 DLC packs suffered from all the same shit that people were so upset about in the base game, such as the lack of coherent story or progression system. Now, we know Destiny 2 development started basically a few days after the first game launched. Hopefully this chaos hasn't already negatively impacted its development too. Number 5. Too much game design carried over from the first Destiny. The first Destiny was a grossly generic and simplistic game. Even for children, the combat was oversimplified and repetitive. The differences between classes' features were largely trivial, and perhaps the biggest problem was that fundamentally it was a game that revolved around replaying the content a lot, and yet its replay value was shit. I mean, the only real noticeable changes to your experience when switching classes was the super. But was something like the Void Bomb really that different from a Titan Smash or Blade Dancer? And so much of the combat was just popping out of cover to grind down a bullet sponge boss, and then hiding again and repeating that for stupid lengths of time. On top of this, there were many key advertised features that turned out to be little more than wet farts. You had open worlds, but nothing really that meaningful or entertaining to do in them. You had a quote-unquote social space, but no way to socialize. All in all, this franchise so far has been a huge fail. Its popularity speaks more to the power of marketing than anything else. In order for Destiny 2 to succeed, Bungie needs to come to terms with why its predecessor failed. Thanks for watching. Please remember to rate. This is Batman, signing out.
Zone C secure. Total control. Good work.